back to our awesome DTL Spotlight on Tuesdays. And today we are talking about miracles with one of our DTLC alumni, Karalee Anjewierden. And I love that that is your awesome name. And we just call her Kari. So welcome. We're so glad to have you here today.
Thanks, Connie. Thanks for having me on. I'm really happy to be here.
We are so thrilled. She talks and walks the talk of miracles. And I'm going to share with you a little bit of her bio, and then we're going to jump right into how do we overcome the overwhelm of life, and how do we see and utilize the miracles that come in our lives and be able to do it in a way that we see the things and we use the things and then we use it to get closer to Christ. So that's what we want to talk about today. I love this. She is I love when you say Karalee Anjewierden or Anjewierden. So if you want to try to remember her last name that way, is teaching people the key to unlock the miracle stories and see where God is quietly moving in their lives. It's a call to action to daily write experiences and, where appropriate, share them to build stronger connection and relationships with God, family, and others. She is an avid story seeker. Totally. She's the type that is like, wherever she goes, she's like, totally heard about Edna and whoever, when they're sitting there in a restaurant or whatever. With a passion for travel, Kari has traveled much of the United States and several countries, capturing an assortment of news stories, friends, and miracles along the way. She graduated from Brigham Young University with a degree in family history and adds 30 years of story gathering through family management, leadership in church and other service organizations, 30 years of marriage, and raising 6 children. And now, as a motivational speaker, author, and a certified disciple thought leader, Karalee speaks to groups and organizations, and she loves to connect with people through those stories through social media or beautiful chance meetings, and as quoted in Utah Blind Magazine, on the key to building healthy relationships through story. Welcome. I know that was a big, long, juicy one.
Thank you.
Let's just
it was very long.
Let's talk about the overwhelm that people feel in this day and age, and especially in the light of the last few years, and we're still coming out of that to such a great degree. What are some of the ways that we can kind of, as women, deal with that overwhelm and start finding that peace a little bit more consistently and clearly?
I think, at least for me, I get so busy, so caught up in all of the things that even just taking a moment to stop and slow down is hard to remember. And this process has given me an opportunity to find that space to slow down and to let God in, so that overwhelm isn't consuming my day, consuming me every minute of the day, so that I can focus on Him and on the things that He wants me to do. And especially if you can find Him every day and focus on that every day, you get a better sense of where He is and how He's helping you, and how He's helping you, where He is, how much He loves you.
Yes. And I think sometimes when we read, like we do Come Follow Me, and we do all the studying and things like that, and sometimes we don't necessarily see the miracles in our own lives, and how that actually is little Post-it notes from Heavenly Father to help us deal with the overwhelm. He's actually showing us all day long how He's in our lives. His hand is there, the tender mercies, all of those things. So how did you come about this? Oh my gosh, I'm seeing that miracles actually help me deal with my life better because I'm seeing this. How did this even begin? Were there miracles that you started to see and it started to help you in your life that you met? I'm making this connection.
It was a miracle, actually, that helped me. It was trying to start again a gratitude journal, something that just the writing process, right? To be able to, I have a tendency to be a little bit negative on things sometimes. And so I was trying to find the positive, and to do that, started this gratitude journal. And this particular day happened to be reading and found a quote by President Eyring, sharing, at the end of the day, if you will look back over your day to see where God's hand was in your life, you'll find that He was there, and you can ask Him and He'll tell you. And so I thought, well, I can add that one simple thing to this gratitude journal that I'm keeping every day. And so that's how I started, was just looking what is one miracle from my day to day?
Mhm.
And then it just mushroomed to where now I see them all the time, everywhere. I see them in my life. I see them in the life of people around me. And I didn't realize how unique that was until I started sharing them with people, and they would say, "Oh, you think that's a miracle? Really?" And then I realized this is something that we need to know. This is something that needs to be shared with others. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because God is there all the time and he wants to help us, and he wants us to feel his presence all the time. But it's like anything else, it's a practice, but it's a simple couple minutes a day practice. It's not something that's like hours and hours of study, that gets us to this point.
So fantastic. And I love this idea of it's happening all around us. I remember my son years ago, we were driving back from school one day and they were talking about earthquakes they've been talking about. And I said, in Utah? I said, do we have earthquakes in Utah? And he said, yeah, lots every day. We just can't feel them. And I remember that stuck with me and thinking, oh, that's so like feeling the spirit, so like seeing miracles, so like seeing the hand of the Lord in our lives. It's happening all day long and we're just not seeing them. So what do you think is like a good tool as a tip to start seeing those miracles? How is it different than just going, oh, well, that worked out nicely? How do you start attuning and shifting your lens to start seeing the miracles?
I think first off is being able to define what a miracle is. And a miracle really is just a touch point from God. But most of us, when we think of a miracle, we're thinking, Moses parting the Red Sea or Noah in his ark or those kinds of things, right? And changing our mindset that nothing is a coincidence. That any time that you say, oh, that was lucky or that was a coincidence, it wasn't. It was God. He was there. He was in it. And the simplest things like a smile. Maybe you're having a really rough day and somebody just smiles at you to remind you, yeah, it's not as bad as I think, right? It can be that simple. So
true.
finding those tiny little touch points throughout your day.
Those tiny touch points, those tiny divine touch points. I love that. I was just talking to my daughter the other day and she was talking about this one day and the timing of everything had to be so precise without her knowing about it, but just how one thing led to another. And she had to get over here, but this thing had to happen first. And then she only had this amount of time to get there. And throughout the day and the evening, it just boom, 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 worked like clockwork. And she said at the end of the day, I don't know how he made all that happen. It was absolutely a miracle how it all played out and had all these different people involved, and yet everything worked out perfectly timed. And I thought that same thing, that we see those miracles, having a conversation with someone just this weekend, several times of thinking just something coming out of my mouth or saying something or being with a certain person at the right time. None of it was, alphabets, spelling a word in my alphabets or something like that kind of a thing, but it was a smooth flow of life. And I noticed that as I was writing in my journal at night. Now, I know you've written a miracle journal, because the gratitude journal is one thing. And then the miracle journal is a little bit more, it's a little different. So take us through that. I know gratitude and miracles are related, but take us through how they're related and then how it's different in recording those miracles.
Yeah. So you start with the gratitude, and gratitude for me, I've discovered that gratitude is our way to bring in the spirit. I don't know of anything that will bring in the spirit faster than showing your gratitude to God, because you can't help but acknowledge God in that gratitude, right? That's how we see him. And he's like anyone else. He wants to be loved. He wants us to be showing him how grateful we are. Just as a mom, right? How many times do you think, oh, if they would only just say thank you, right? For all of the things that you do. And God is like that. And he wants that. So the gratitude journal turns our hearts to him, and it brings in the spirit. And then if you add prayer onto that, and that's one of the other pieces of this, bring in prayer, ask God, help me see the miracles that I saw today. What is it that you want me to see? And maybe it's just a few things here and there. It doesn't have to be all of them, right? But significant things that changed your day.
Yes.
So now you're writing down those things that have changed your day. And as you write them down daily, and you can look back over those things and see where God is, and to see that he's there, it changes you little by little. Just, that little drop in the bucket. Every day, every day, every day, that line upon line is kind of what we're doing here. And then the beautiful thing that comes after that is the inspiration that comes from that knowledge. And so that's the 3-step process that we go through is journaling our gratitude, and then our miracles, and then what are the outcomes that come out of that, right? What's the inspiration or the revelation that God is giving us, to be able to see a more complete picture, not only of God and what he wants for us, but who we are individually.
I love this, and who we can become and what we can do. I was just reading in First Nephi this morning, and I'm thinking how line upon line, all the miracles that he had with slaying Laban, and then going into the wilderness, and then the breaking of the bow, and then he's building the ship. And all of these miracles were building and building and building his faith in the Lord, that he can do impossible things, for them to build a ship and go across this ocean to the promised land. And the same thing with us. I agree that when you start with gratitude, there's such a two-way juicy connection with that. In fact, I just got home. We did a retreat over the weekend for Disciple Thought Leadership. And I got home, and it was our 2-year anniversary of doing these retreats. It was our 9th retreat. And I was driving back from, it's about an hour and a half away, and I'm pulling in, and both my daughters are on their dates, and we're going to see each other later when they get home. But I pull in, and I'm like, okay, I have a moment to myself. And I start going upstairs, and I walk into my bedroom, and my girls have decorated my room. They have said congrats, and there's a poster, and there's crepe paper, and there's balloons everywhere, and there's flowers, and there's a card. And I start reading the card, and I start crying so hard that I can't read it. And then I have to go get my readers, and then the readers are fogging up, and it was so lame. But I think about that. Just when you said gratitude, that is now, when I think about gratitude, I think about how we feel about God, being able to share that kind of gratitude, and how that changes us. How when people are so thankful that your heart is yearns for them to, whatever can I do for you? How can I help you? Because I know that you get me and see me, and you love me. So how wondrous. And then for you to help them to seek and see the miracle, to be able to identify that. And then, just like you said, the inspiration to do more and become more, but not in a treadmill way, more of a deepening and a widening in this depth and breadth way. I love it. And something so simple, the small and simple ways, right, of miracles. Now, I know you wouldn't probably share this, but I know the journey it's been for you to write this book. And it's been a miracle in and of itself, where it's been a lot of time and energy. There's been a lot of family stuff, and there's been trials and afflictions. It's been right out of First Nephi. It's been all of the things. And yet you have persevered and gone through, and you even got it finished, and you actually pitched it to 3 different publishers, and they all wanted to see it. Like, what a moment. Can you take us through what were some of the helps that helped you to accomplish that miracle? What were some of the key things that helped you to sit down, to make that happen, to actually get it finished and create that miracle in your own life? Is there any tips or tool you want to share?
Oh, one of the words that was coming to me as you were talking, one of the first things I would say is believe. I, again, have a tendency, or have had in the past, to be a little bit on the negative side, and believe that God could do stuff for anybody, but somehow I didn't believe it happened for me. And so this process has internally changed me, so that I have the confidence, so that I see myself the way God sees me. So then when Satan comes at my door you know, and he's trying to rip the rug out from underneath me, I can say, hey, that's okay. And that used to work for me. That's not going to work anymore. I would have to say my life was driven a lot by fear in my past. And to be able to change that mindset and to say, okay, I'm afraid of this. That must mean I need to do it.
Mm. And what helped you change that? What shifted that?
Simply the confidence of doing this simple thing every day. Doing it every day, because then I'm seeing God's fingerprints on everything.
Mm. And it's becoming a part of you. It's not just a little affirmation, but it's becoming a part of you. Absolutely love that. And now you have a way that you can share with others and open that mindset. And that's affecting more than just you. It's affecting your family. Have you seen how this is affecting other women or your own kids or your grandkids? Have you seen how this is helping?
It's helping because it helps us to ground ourselves, to connect ourselves intimately with Christ, right? To have such a strong connection there that our foundation is solid. Because when you have that faith, when you can believe, then you can see the miracles. You're seeing him moving in your life. And again, it can be simple things, or it can be huge things, like my daughter going to law school, right? And we're thinking, oh, how is that going to work out, right? And I watched this beautiful story unfold as she, doesn't think she's going to be able to get in because she can't take the LSAT, and then that works out and she's able to get in through a back door, kind of, because of her grades that she had, all of the things. And I'm like, this is amazing what God can do if you just believe and move forward and have confidence that, the why not me? Turn it around. I mean, oftentimes we say it in a negative light, right? Why not me? Why couldn't that have been me? But on other things, yeah, why not me? Why can't God give me a miracle, right? Our prophet has told us, expect a miracle. And this is why, because it gives you that foundation and that strength that when Satan comes knocking at your door,
you say, get
help. You've got the tools needed, right? He's teaching you the tools as you go along, and you have what you need then to stand firm for yourself, to teach your family. And the Spirit is there to teach you what to do.
Yes. And that is so huge. I think about Nephi saying, if he can teach us how to do this, if he can help all these people in the past, how can he not help me to build a ship? He is still that same God. He can do the same thing for me that he does for other people. It's not any different. And I love too this attitude and this desire and need for the help of other people as you've gone along. I've noticed how you've been able to learn from other people, and in the DTLC and our leadership circle, make connections with other women that you were able to bounce off of and learn from and get those skills and abilities and have them fill your cup and then pull it back out. And those kinds of connections are miraculous. And I'm saying constantly to women, find your tribe, find those women that you can be bolstered by and supported and lifted and be helped in your miracle, your journey, whatever it is that the Lord is asking you to do. Because Nephi had help, even though some of it was unwilling and some of it was maybe unwanted, but he had help. And you don't know what kind of divine help he had, but you see people in scriptures, they had other people or other divine help that were right there for them, helping them go, this was a miracle here, there's more miracles ahead, and we're going to keep training you and teaching you to help you become so that you are moving forward in those miracles. Is there any moment that stands out for you as far as moving forward that was pivotal?
I think my pivotal moment. I was at a retreat. We were that I had to face my fears head on, like they were right here. And it was that choice of, how do I take this? Am I going to be afraid and am I going to hide like I've tried to do in the past? Or am I going to move past it and grab God's hand and let him take me where he wants to take me. And that was the pivotal moment for me. And the beauty was I was surrounded by supportive women. I was surrounded by people who loved me. And I was able to, pick myself up and see what God was trying to show me all along as a mother, as a now grandmother, as a friend, as a wife, all of these things. God's been trying to show me there are things that you can do and you're not living up to your potential. And this is what I want for you. And to be able to face that head on, probably the scariest moment in my life, but pivotal, because to that point, gratefully, I had the foundation enough that I was able to see what was happening and to make the choice that needed to be made.
Love. And what's so beautiful, Kari, I remember that. And what they may not know is you and I have known each other since college. And she still hangs with me. Like, you kind of hope everyone forgets what you were like in college. But I look at that, and I look at how you were then and all the seedlings of this confident, beautiful, capable woman. And then seeing you a few years ago of that sort of, I don't know if I can do this. I'm hesitant. We've all been there as women where we feel in our most vulnerable, our most less than, I'm scared. I don't know that I can do this. And then experiencing that miracle of the Lord taking us and saying, I have so much more for you. The miracles are abundant and they're waiting. And you taking that next right step, that Indiana Jones step, and you did. And look, and just in that amount of time, the confidence and the clarity, and might I add, just the increased beauty of who you are. You've got this glow and this self-assurance of who you are. It's fabulous. And to me, that is another miracle. And the miracle of us becoming like him, literally and figuratively. Absolutely gorgeous. And look at her now. She's got this beautiful one big message. I teach women to combat daily overwhelm through seeing and applying everyday miracles, become clear, confident, and intimately connected to Christ. Beautiful. Thank you so much for being with us today. If people want to get a hold of you, they want to find out more about your miracle journal, where's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Pocketmiracles.com is my website, or they can go to Karalee Anjewierden on Instagram or Facebook. I'm in either one of those places.
Awesome. Just hit Karalee and then ANJ, and then you're going to be just fine. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Kari, thank you so much for being with us
Thank
today.
you. Thank you so much. It was a delight to be here. Thanks.
You're the best. And for those of you listening, if you love this, go check out the other ones that we have, all of our DTL Tuesday spotlights for people who have been in our Disciple Thought Leadership, either retreats or in our circle, all learning how to find and fulfill their purpose and become an influential speaker, writer, and media presence for him in whatever way and whatever thing that brings you joy. And we would love for you to learn from their journey so that you can continue on your purpose-filled life journey too.